testing. So, like we understood what is vulnerability analysis is nothing but to understand the weakness present in the just analyzing the weakness present in the organization. It may be in network or it may be in any particular systems or anything. So we understood some of the vulnerabilities that may happen. So first is misconfiguration is because of the not proper configuration. It may be in system configuration, it may be application configuration, it may be server configuration or anything. So if it is not properly configured, and it will allow for any attackers to attack the system, and it will lead to the extent that the file even can be stolen. Default installation, if the software, if the developer is or an inexperienced developer and they are not testing it properly and it is not being thoroughly refined, under that case, if we go for default installation also, it may give us some form of vulnerability. Buffer overflow, if a programmer is not writing a program in a proper way, like to understand what is the length of the code access, if the length is exceeding the limit, what to do if that particular code for any application is not available and the attacker is having a possibility to do the buffer overflow attack. In this attack, there is a possibility for server crash or system crash and everything. Unpatched servers, then and there we need to check for the assess for the any vulnerability existing in the server, and accordingly we need to update. It can be anything, it can be application, it can be server or anything. We need to perform updation then and there. So patching, this updation is nothing but done using the software program called patching. Okay, so if that updation is not there, under that case also it will lead for attackers to exploit this particular system. And finally, the default password. The default password, if we leave the password as it is, and this is one method of exploiting the system. Okay. So next is types of vulnerability assessment: passive, host-based, internal assessment, active assessment. As I told you, active assessment is nothing but completely scanning the entire network and all the resources connected to the entire network. Passive assignment is nothing but just only understanding what is the packets moving from one point to another point, who is doing that, and accordingly assessing. That is passive. Host base is nothing but exclusively deploying some agent into the specific host and performing the assessment. Internal assessment is to understand the internal infrastructure of the organization. External assessment is nothing but like from hacker's point of view, looking from the outside world, looking into the internal infrastructure is called external assessment. Application assessment for specific application, built-in application, if you're performing the assessment. Network assessment and wireless network assessment is nothing but you are checking for the network security and wireless network security. And vulnerability assessment consists of several steps. First, you will be understanding how the network, what type of network topology it is, and what are the resources connected to it. And you will give importance for every resources. What is the level of importance, whether it need to be secured or not secured. And then you will understand what are the potential threat for that particular resources that can be attacked or not attacked. If attacking is happening, what is the level of attacks they can do. So like this, you will be doing one by one steps. Okay, and you'll be developing a strategy to overcome this attack, to mitigate the attack. Once the attack has occurred, you have to develop a strategy after attack, how to mitigate the consequences. Okay, so task involved in conducting the vulnerability assessment is nothing but you have to understand what are the vulnerability assessment tool, like depending upon whether you are working on the network, whether we are working on the host or external or internal, depending upon that, there are plenty of tools are available. So first step is you have to understand what is the tools, what are the tools you are going to use, and check for any misconfiguration, web server, mail server, firewalls, and misconfiguration in all these areas. And check for any other vulnerability postings are available in the company's website, and also other postings from the other websites. Okay, and then there are three phases: pre-assessment phase, assessment phase, and post-assessment phase. In pre-assessment phase, as usual, you are going to first define what is your scope of assessment, whether you are doing the assessment for the entire organization, for all the network connected with the organization, for all the resources connected with the organization, or you are going to limit for within the area. It can be limited within the area or limited within the source. Okay. So first that has to be defined, and you should be mentioning the scheduling plan for the assessment to take place. There should be certain plan. What are the logistics, in the sense what are the tools you are going to deploy for assessing the particular thing. So all these plans should be there in the pre-assessment stage itself. Okay. And also identify what are the assets that is very much critical for the organization. Okay, so these are the some of the important things which you will do in the pre-assessment phase. And comes to the assessment phase. So here in this is the phase where you are starting your assessment. Okay, so what are the things you will do? First, you have to, if you are considering for the entire organization to perform everything, then you have to examine the network architecture. First step, examine the network architecture, in the sense already you'll be having a network map. You have to understand that map and the existing map. You know how the flow in the normal point, and now you will understand whether the flow is correct or not. Like that, you will be first examining the network architecture, and you'll be evaluating whether any threat is present in the environment or not. And then you have to confirm whether the threat is there, vulnerability is there. So you are going to perform the penetration testing. Then also examine the physical security in the sense whether firewall, intrusion reduction system is present, firewall is being configured. All these things are physical security. And also power backup for the network devices. All these things are physical security. So examine and evaluate the physical security, then perform the physical asset analysis, in the sense which are the physical system that is an asset to the organization, that has to be secured to the organization. That analysis you do. Then when you are performing auditing, every time you have to observe whether all the policies and procedures are being maintained, and conduct the impact analysis, in the sense you have to understand, in this point you have to understand, if the attacker is attacking the system, what is the possible impact. So we have already understood what are the impacts, functional impacts, and the confidential information impact. Okay, so it will come under some impact. It may be functional impacting or maybe informational impacting. So like that analysis you have to complete, and you have to perform the risk characterization. Risk characterization, whether it is a risk of high level, low level, medium level. We will understand risk assessment later in the other module. It is there. But just the last line you remember. Okay, performs a risk characterization. So when you are performing the second stage, which is something but an assessment phase. Okay, so what exactly you are doing is, you will first identify what are the nodes. Okay, nodes in the sense, if you are taking a network, there will be a subnet within a network, or there will be a system like firewalls which will be acting as a separate node, system like router which will be acting as a separate node, like that. So first step is you will be locating. So here, see, in the first step you are telling network architecture, right? So in this architecture itself, we will understand what are the nodes, how many nodes are present. So you'll be locating the nodes. Okay, and then for every nodes you'll be performing the service discoveries. Service discoveries in the sense like what are the services available, whether it is only giving web services, HTTP protocol, or whether it is giving file transfer services, FTP protocol, or messaging services, SNMP protocol, like that. For every host connected to the nodes, it will understand what are the services provided. Okay, so that will be the next step. Then it will, for every service, it will check for security holes. Like what we did in our lab class, we are having a Kali Linux, Metasploitable, and we understood, we are performing Nmap scanning, and we are understanding, okay, these are the open ports. Once we find open ports, we are trying to interact with through that particular port. If port number 21 is FTP, port number 80 is HTTP. So we are trying to interact with through that port. We are trying to able to discover, we able to perform attack on the victim system. Okay, so that is testing those services for known security holes, whether it is open, if it is open, whether it is allowing or not, all these things. Okay, so after completing this vulnerability analysis, they are called auditors. These auditors, what they will do is they have got so many data, they will assemble all the data together and then they will perform an in-depth analysis. Okay, then only if only they do in-depth analysis, they will able to formulate some plan to mitigate the cause. Okay, they have to overcome it. There is some problem, they have to, their duty is not only to identify that there is a problem, they should also give some plan for remedial plans. Okay, so they, for that they have to do the in-depth analysis. Okay, so that will be the next stage for the auditors. And after completing this in-depth analysis, they will be bringing all these knowledge, whatever they have understood, they will give their recommendation to the business executive who is running the organization. So this business executive, what they will do is, they will take a plan with all the other departments in the organization and they will try to execute and fix all the problems. Okay, so these auditors have defined, these are all the problems existing in this organization. We can overcome this problem by deploying this. Say for example, if the auditor is recommending this particular system can be exploited because of this virus, then they will give a remedial action, purchase this antivirus software. So this business executives, what they will do is they will talk with their team and they will try to purchase they will understand the level of importance of the particular security, and if they want, they will put some budget for this and they will try to purchase for this. Okay, so this is what the procedure, this is the procedure that will take place. Okay, so for analyzing this vulnerability, there are so many tools, and how these tools are classified depending again on the how we are performing the assessment. Okay, so already we told the vulnerability types of vulnerability assessment. We have seen active assessment, passive assessment, host-based, internal assessment, like that. Similarly to that, we will be having the tools accordingly. Okay, so these tools are classified according to the assessment type what we are doing. So first is host-based vulnerability assessment tool. As the name implies, if you want to do only host-based assessment, like you want to test only the operating system, its working, its configuration and everything, then you will go for that specific tool only, okay, which is of low cost, because it is not going to work for the entire network. It will work only for a single host. That is the first one. Next is application based. So if you want to do only application assessment for data server, web server or anything, then you purchase only those tools. Okay, so that is application vulnerability assessment tool. Next is scope assessment tool. Scope assessment tool is nothing but if you want both for host and for application, not for the network, then you go for scope assessment tool. Next is depth assessment tool. Depth assessment tool is nothing but it will also tell you unknown vulnerabilities. If you see, all the other tools will check only for the known vulnerabilities, but this specific tool will check for the unknown vulnerabilities also. In the sense, what it will do is it will be deploying a product called fuzzer. Okay, so this is a fuzzer. Fuzzer is nothing but a program. So what this program will do is it will be sending a random input to any application or host or anything. It will be sending a random input. So if the program or if that application or host contains a vulnerability, then it will be lead to an exemption. Okay, exemption handler. I hope you all know what is exemption handler. You would have studied in C++. Whenever you are coming across some interrupt or some important thing, the program, it will be executing in one order, and if there is any interrupt or anything, the program will stop there and it will go to the separate loop called exception handler. Okay, so that so here also what you are doing is you are running a program, fuzzy program, and this fuzzer program, what it will do is it is just generating a random input to check for any of the vulnerabilities, and if it finds any vulnerabilities, then what it will do is it will not continue doing the program. It will give it to the exceptional handler. If it continues to do the program, what will happen? The system may crash and the server may crash. Okay, so to overcome that, it will be jumping to an exceptional handler, and then it will be giving its report that yes, vulnerability is present at this point, only vulnerability happened. All these reports will be generated and it will be given to the auditor will be reviewing all these reports. Okay, so this fuzzer is also called as fault injector for this reason. Okay, next is active or passive tools. Active tools and passive tools, as the name implies, active in the sense completely involving in the scanning. When the network is running, by disturbing all the resources, you are running the scanning, performing the scanning is called active scanning. Whereas passive scanning is you are not at all disturbing anything. Everything is running in order. You are not disturbing. You are just only observing the system and data, and you will do all the analysis in the separate point. Okay, that is called as a passive scanning. So these are all the vulnerability tools. Depending upon the assessment type of vulnerability assessment type, accordingly we can select any tools. Okay. So after completing the vulnerability assessment phase, post-assessment phase, mostly in every cases, it may be of anything, you will be having the last stage called post phase. Okay, even in your what is that, incident handling, the last stage is the reporting stage. Okay, so post assessment phase is nothing but a reporting. In this reporting, what are the things you will include? You will just include the recommendation whatever you have done, like okay, give prioritization for this, there is a vulnerability, like that you will be writing prioritizing and writing your recommendation as a report. Okay, so you will also capture all the lessons that are learned to improve the complete process in the future, and you'll be conducting the training. So this is all will happen in the post assessment phase. Okay, so some of the tools like we have told, there are so many vulnerability assessment tools, analysis tools are there. So like how they are basically classifying the tool is nothing but depending upon network based scanner, agent based scanner, proxy scanner, and cluster scanner. As the name implies, network based scanner will be scanning the entire network. Agent only one single agent, only one single host or one single firewall, like that. Proxy, it will be scanning for the proxy alone, and cluster scanner is nothing but a combination of some of these scanner. These are all list of vulnerability assessment tools available in the market right now. That it's not restricted to this. There are so many tools available. Not only this. Okay, so like if you are having some time, anyhow I'll be uploading the slides. If you are having some time, you can just go through some of the tools. And some of the free tools, whichever is available. Nmap. I hope you all know what is Nmap, right? What is Nmap? Can someone say what is Nmap? Did you know what? Have you done Nmap? Okay, so I think if you are not responding, scanner.
Scanner moment scans for the ports and
services. Version. What are the things it is giving? It is giving port. Okay, it is giving services, right? Port number, services, and also version it is giving, right? Huh? So it is scanning the network, and also it is scanning the host. Okay, so Nmap is a free scanner. What we are using in Kali Linux is a free scanner. Open source only we are using. Okay, it's a free scanner. It will scan the network. It will also scan the services. Okay, host independently, quickly and accurately. Okay. Next is Nessus. Nessus is nothing but again a network scanner only, but this is not going to scan any individual host like Nmap. Okay, it will be scanning only the network and what are the things present in the network and devices connected to the network, but it will not give any services. Okay, so if you want services now, you want to know what is an independent host is. So whereas nurses will give only scanning of the network, it will tell you what are the structures, infrastructure available in the network, and how many resources are connected, what are the types of resources. Only that it will tell. It will not tell you services, it will not tell you the version. Next is Wishkar. Wishkar again is a web scanner. It is not a network scanner. It is a web scanner. If you want to scan your web servers, then you will go for this Wishkar. Enum is nothing but again a scanner. Here it is not going to tell you anything about the network. Instead, it will be telling you only about the host. So what it will be, just as the name implies, enumerate. Enumerate what? It will be listing out who are all the users of the system, who are all having what are the username password of the system, who have done any brute force attack. So like that, no, it will be when once you try to use this particular scanning and try to scan any web server, database server, or any single system also, it will be giving you the details, enumerating all these details, or who are the users, what are the machines, what are the name list, group, member list, password, like that. It will be telling you everything. Firewalk is nothing but it will be just understanding, or it will be just scanning whether you are having any filters, that is firewalls, in the particular network or not. If that firewall is there, it will just tell you what is the configuration of the firewalls. Okay, that is the firewall. Okay, so next, see, these are like free, what is available freely, free scanner in the internet. I just listed out few things. Okay, but there may be so many free scanners also. You can all these things later. So next, the future of network security assessment. That is, we are talking on vulnerability assessment. Okay, so like it will be good if you are having an automated vulnerability detection system. Automated vulnerability detection system, because like if there is a virus in our system, it is automatically antivirus software. If we are deploying, it is automatically telling that there is a virus. So something like that. If there is a system which tells you there is a vulnerability automatically before we performing the analysis, it is well and good. Why? Because day to day there are so many operating system present, so many attackers are there, different form of attacks are coming to the system. So if there is some tool which is detecting everything automatically, then it is well and good. Okay, so there so AVDS is a series of hardware appliances that run dedicated online connected software. It's capable of simulating. It will simulate both internal hacker attack and also external hacker attacks. Okay, starting from minimum of 200 nodes to 2 million nodes. Okay, and it will be comprehensively. It will be just after completing all these assessment, it will be generating its own report. Okay, this report will be having a summary of all the vulnerabilities, whatever it has discovered, and how to overcome. It will also give suggestion of how to overcome this vulnerability, mitigate this vulnerability, and what are the attacks it has performed, and everything. So it will be giving you all these details in the sense how to overcome. Like it will just find out, okay, these are the vulnerabilities available. This step you can take to overcome this vulnerability. So a complete entire report can be generated by this automatic vulnerability detection system. Okay. So what we have seen so far is vulnerability assessment. Okay. Next is penetration testing, also called as pen testing. Okay. So what is the difference? Can someone tell me what is the difference between vulnerability assessment and penetration testing? What may be? What are the three phases of vulnerability assessment we have seen today? What are the
Yes, the vulnerability assessment, we scan, and in the penetration, we will exploit it by hands-on examination.
very good. My question is, what are the three phases in vulnerability assessment we have seen today? Yes, Kunal. Kunal is here. Kunal is not here.
Yes, ma'am.
Kunal is here. What are the
Yes,
three
ma'am.
phases? What are the three phases of vulnerability assessment we have seen today? So you are not listening, right?
What, ma'am?
My question is very simple. Kunal, please understand. I cannot repeat the question so many times. What are the three phases of vulnerability assessment? Three stages. Okay. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make absent if you are not answering. Okay. The next one. Venkata Sai Kiran. Venkata Sai Kiran. Sai
Yes, ma'am.
Ganapati. Yes, tell me the answer. Anyone can tell. Sai Ganapati. Very simple question. I'm not asking you big question. Ananya. Ananya is here. Arshita.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the three phases of vulnerability assessment?
Ma'am, I don't know.
So you are not listening. Tanay. Tanay.
Yes, present.
What are the three phases? What I have told just now.
Ma'am,
Yes.
pre-assessment phase, assessment phase, and post-assessment phase.
Okay. Riddhi, very good. Pre-assessment, assessment, and post-assessment phase. In assessment phase, what are the things we are doing?
Ma'am, we are evaluating the physical security, penetration testing, if the firewall or the hub is protected or not, impact
Oh.
analysis, protection.
Very good. Very good. So we are doing penetration testing in the assessment phase of vulnerability assessment. Make a note of this. See, today I will be asking questions to everyone. You have to listen and you are going to respond. Okay. So today Riddhi is getting attendance. Others are not getting. You just wait and watch. If you are responding, you will get attendance. You are not, otherwise you are not getting attendance. Okay. So the difference between vulnerability assessment and penetration testing is in vulnerability assessment, you are just only performing scanning. Scanning in the sense understanding, assessing or analyzing whether there is any weakness in the system or not. Okay. In penetration testing, what you are doing is you are acting as an attacker, okay, hacker, and you're trying to exploit the vulnerability. Exploit in the sense you're getting into that, there is a weakness present and you're trying to exploit it. Use that weakness and try to retrieve all the files and everything. So that, see, there is a thing called ethical hacking. Okay, hacker as such, the name is something, no, like illegal. But there is a thing called ethical hacking which is done by the IT professional or security analyst in the organization itself. So what they will do is, ethical hacker, what they will do is, they will pretend themselves as an hacker, attacker, and they will try to exploit all the weakness in their organization, so that they will come to an understanding like whether this vulnerability, particular vulnerability in our organization can be protected or cannot be protected, or whether if it is there, how to what extent the attacker can go. So they will get all these knowledge. Okay, so only the penetration testing is done. So penetration testing is the process of actively evaluating companies' information security measures. Okay, so we are just evaluating whether our information security is protected, our information is being protected, all the measures whatever we have taken is correct measure or not. That one you have to evaluate. Okay, so for that you are performing a pen testing. Okay, so the reasons for conducting the pen testing, the reason is nothing but you have to find out what are the threats facing the organization information asset. Okay, so that if you are finding that, you can reduce the return, you can increase the return on investment. Okay, where the organization has put some investment for running the organization, and they have assured that there will be a security of the information and everything. So like if that particular information is not secured, under that case the organization stock value or the name, there will be negative impact of the organization, so that they will be losing all the customers. Okay, so therefore it is very important for an organization to protect the information, secure whichever they it is to be, whichever is confidential. Okay, so for that they want, then only they can increase the investment. Okay, so that is return on investment. They have already invested. Okay, if they want to have return on their investment, another case they want to attract more and more customers. The customers will be attracted only if they feel they are secured within this organization. Okay, so for that we have to perform pen testing then and there. So this will provide an organization with assurance. Okay, and also this pen testing is important because to get some certification, okay, standard certification like BS 7799, HIPAA, these are all the certification important. HIPAA is for the health industry. Okay, BS is for the general insurance industry. Okay, so some certification, if you want to approach some health industry, then if you, they will be having a certification that we are HIPAA certified industry. If you see that, then directly you are having a confidence that you can associate with respect with that industry. Okay, so like so for that certification you will get only if you do the pen testing. So for that you need to do pen testing. And this pen testing is where conducting pen testing will adopt a best practice by conforming to legal and industrial regulations. So I'm just telling you what are the reasons why do we want to conduct the pen testing. Okay, then it will be just finding to focus on the what are the vulnerabilities are present and how the vulnerabilities will be disturbing the security level at application level and web level and all the levels, how it is disturbing. So to understand that, to focus on that, we want to do pen testing. Okay, and it will be validating the efficiency of the security protection and control, and it provides a comprehensive approach of preparation steps that can be taken to prevent upcoming exploitation. So here onwards any exploitations will come, how to approach, how to prepare myself. Okay, so for that you have to do pen testing and evaluates the efficiency of the network security devices. So it will be checking for all the devices connected to the network. Okay, whether it is efficient or not efficient, whether we have to update it and everything, for changing or upgrading the existing infrastructure. So these are some of the reasons why we want to conduct the pen testing. Next, what we should test. What should be tested? We have to test everything. Okay, it may be hardware, it may be software, all components, whichever is connected to the network system. It may be hardware component or it may be software component. We need to test and we need to do a risk assessment. Risk assessment for all the threats. Okay, it may be communication failure. Sometimes there may be a problem in the network communication, e-commerce failure, loss of confidential information, public facing system, websites, email gateways, everything. So all these things are threats. Okay, threats for the normal operation of an organization connected with the network. Okay, so you need to identify and also perform the risk assessment for all these possible threats. Okay, so when you are performing the testing, you have to understand you are going to perform the testing for the entire network or for all the resources connected, hardware and software resources connected to the network. So in penetration testing also you are having 3 stages: pre-attack stage, attack stage and post-attack stage. Okay, so again the same thing: preparation, conducting and reporting. Always remember, in incident response also you are having preparation, conducting and post reporting. In vulnerability assessment also you are having 3 stages. Penetration testing also you are having 3 stages: pre-attack, attack and post-attack phase. Okay, pre-attack phase. Pre-attack phase is something similar to what the attacker will do. A normal attacker will start with a thing called reconnaissance, in the sense observing or scanning that entire network. Okay, so here also a penetration tester, a tester who is IT professional will be starting with the reconnaissance. It can be of active reconnaissance or it can be of passive reconnaissance. Okay, passive in the sense with the open source information. Okay, they will be gathering data. Reconnaissance is nothing but gathering data. Data is related to what? Data is related to how the network architecture is, how the topology is, and how many resources are connected to the network, what is the configuration of individual host, and whether there is any port or not, what are the services open, everything. All these detailed analysis they will be doing. Okay, before starting the penetration testing, they will be analyzing, they will be just observing how the network is and how the systems to the resources to the networks are connected. That is what we call it as a reconnaissance. Here you are having 2 types: one is active, another one is passive. In passive you will be using only open source information. You are not going to use like you are not going to purchase anything any specific technology, software or anything to perform this. You are just going to use the open source, which is freely available. Whenever we call open source, you have to understand it is freely available, and you can, it's freely available in the sense it is legal only. You can use that one. Okay, so it's freely available, and you will be getting an information, something like what is the company's web page, what is the electronic data. You will understand what are the protocols that is being used in the system, and something like that. Oh, sometimes no, you can also do social engineering attack. Okay, social engineering sense you talk with the colleagues, or talk with the organization people, understand how the network is connected. So those are all comes under the passive reconnaissance. Whereas in active reconnaissance, you are having the tools itself. You have to purchase the tools. Okay, so this tool, what they will do is, they will be, if you deploy the tool for performing the reconnaissance. So what this tool will do is, this tool will just understand, then it will perform the scan, it will ping. By pinging, it will understand how many ports are connected and what is the operating system, how the footprinting of the operating system and everything. So that is the difference, whether you are using the open source or whether you are purchasing the tools for that. Okay. Now, this stage we are, this reconnaissance, we are having as a 3 different stages. One is footprinting, scanning and enumerating. In footprinting, what you will do is, you are gathering the information and you are determining the network range. Only 2 jobs you are doing in footprinting. One is gathering the information. Number 2 is determining the network range. In gathering this information, what you will do is, just what is the topology of the network, okay, and how many resources are connected to the network. Resources in the sense separately, how many firewalls, how many introduction rejection system, how many nodes are there. That is what you call it as in gathering the information. And you are going to determine the network range. Determining the network range in the sense, what are the other companies connected to this present company? Who are all the customers? How the customers are connected to the particular organizations? So all these things is what you call it as a network range. Okay, so those are the operations that is done in the footprinting. Next is scanning. Scanning will, what it will do is it will be finding out how many machines are active, that is open port, closed port, everything it is finding, right? So that is what scanning is doing. It will be first identifying active machines. It will discover open ports and what are all the open ports available and what are all the access points in the nodes available. Okay, it will take the footprinting of the operating system. Footprinting of the operating system in the sense the entire, sorry, fingerprinting of the operating system. Fingerprinting of the operating system in the sense the version of the operating system and what are the types of the operating system and everything you can understand by performing the scanning. Okay, so that is a fingerprint of the operating system. So, and also it will give you all the types of the services available on the ports. Okay, so it's nothing but a Nmap. In Nmap, we are doing all these things, right? So in scanning, you are able to identify which are the machines active, identify what are the open ports. You can able to identify what are the version, what are the services available. That's what you are performing in scanning. Finally, enumerating. Enumerating, as the name implies, listing out. Okay, so what we are going to list out? We are going to list out who are all the valid account user accounts. What are all the valid user accounts for the specific system which has to be protected, and what are all the valid resources that can be shared. So you'll be just listing out all these things. Okay, so that comes under the enumerating stage. So this is the pre-attack phase. In pre-attack phase, footprinting, scanning and enumerating. So you are just getting ready to perform the attack now. Okay, and next is attack phase. I have to tell a lot in attack phase. And post attack, I will go to post attack, then I will come to the attack phase. Post attack phase, as the name implies, very simple. You are going to generate a report after identifying all the vulnerabilities, and you have to list out all the vulnerabilities present, and you have to list out what are the consequences of exploiting the vulnerabilities. You have to list out how you have overcome, what are the methodologies that you can mitigate the vulnerabilities. So all the plans, and you have to present a risk rating, whether it is low, medium or high. This rating, it may be sometimes cost also that, and you have to give guidance on mitigate the discovered weakness. So this is in the post attack phase. Okay, so pre-attack, post attack is very simple. Now the middle one is the attack phase. Attack phase is something which we need to discuss a lot. Okay, attack phase, as the name implies, the pen testing is happening. Just before this attack phase, you understood what are the ports connected, what are all the open ports available, who are all the user accounts available, and everything, or how the network looks like, everything. You are having a knowledge of everything. Now you are trying to attack. Okay, so this in this attack phase only, you will know whether that vulnerability can be exploited or not. Okay, so you understand the definition for the attack phase. The attack phase of the penetration test exploits the vulnerability to confirm its existence. So earlier, you are just only assessing the vulnerability, but once you attack this vulnerability, then only you will understand whether this vulnerability is really existing or not. Okay, so what are the attack phase activities? There are 8 different things I have listed, not 8, I think 10 different things I have listed out. So we need to go one by one. Okay, first is perimeter auditing. This is the first activity. Auditing, as the name implies, auditing in the sense to ensure some policies, some procedures are there in the organization. Whenever I say I'm auditing your organization, it means that I'm coming there to ensure whether you are obeying the policies and procedures, then only you're carrying out the work. That is what auditing means. Okay, so here the first attack phase activity is perimeter auditing. So here the perimeter is nothing but you're talking in the area where your internal network, or you will call it as a private network. See, we are studying under VAT. Inside VAT organization, we are having a private network. Okay. And this network is connected to the internet. Okay. Through some network phase. That network area is called perimeter. Okay. So we are not disturbing the private network. We are not disturbing the internet also, but something which is connecting my private network to the internet outside organization. That particular networks is called as a perimeter. Okay, so in this perimeter auditing, you are only concentrating on that. So what are the things that will be connected in this particular area? Your router will be connected in this particular area. Your firewall will be connected only in this area, and you are just in the just outside the internal network, that is just outside the private network, or just in the gateway of the private network, you'll be having an intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system. Okay, so these are all the security. You are already having some security connected. So now what you are doing is you are coming and auditing, checking whether your security connected is working properly or not. If it is not working properly, you have to mention what is not working and what are the methodology to make it work properly. Okay, so you have to understand there is a private network. Just in the gate, just in the doorstep of the private network, you are having intrusion detection system, which will identify whether any intruder is coming into your network or not. Intrusion prevention system is there, which is exactly in the doorstep of the private network, and you are connecting your private network to the outside world. So within this area, you will be having a firewall, you'll be having a router. So in this perimeter auditing, you are only checking whether this firewall, this router configured properly. Okay. You are just only performing the checking of whatever is connected in this perimeter. It may be firewall, it may be router, it may be some other virtual private network connection, remote access to the network, something will be there. So you are just only checking whether all these systems are in place and whether all these systems are having any misconfiguration, whether everything is configured properly or not, and everything. So that is what you are calling it as a perimeter auditing. So in this perimeter auditing, what you will exactly do is you'll be sitting in the outside. The auditor who is going to perform the auditing work will be sitting in the outside world, and he will be trying to access all the asset of the organization which is inside the private network. Okay, asset of the organization in the sense it may be information, it may be some files, it may be a system or anything. So this auditor, what they will do is they are sitting in the network and they are remotely trying to connect to the private network, trying to access that private network. Okay, so they are creating a channel between the outsiders and insiders. Okay, so this channel can be a private physically secured channel, or it can be spectrum secured channel. Okay, so they are just connecting. So they will be doing this job, this perimeter checking job, auditing job should be done at least once in a year. You cannot only say my organization is secured. You should also say my perimeter is secured. So this particular job has to be done at least once in a year. Okay. So like when you are doing this perimeter checking, you will also have some problem. You cannot say I have completed my perimeter checking and everything is working fine. Okay, because there is some implementation problem in the perimeter checking. So this implementation problem is sometimes like the employees inside the organization, what they will think is I'm having a firewall. I have depleted a firewall, so I need not worry about anything. I will just work independently. They will think like that, but they would have misconfigured the firewall for a wrong application. Okay, so that is one issue. Okay, so your firewall configuration should be perfect. Okay, you cannot just like the think the firewall configuration is always firewall is there, so I'm secure. Okay, if the firewall is not configured properly, then again then again an attack will happen. Okay, so like your perimeter checking, when you are auditing the perimeter checking, you are not worried about the configuration of the firewall. Can you understand? You will be worried about only whether the firewall is working according to the configuration. You are only auditing the thing. So you are checking, say for example, I am telling I should not allow 192.168.0.0. I am not allowing any packet coming from this server 192.168.0.0. Okay, I should not allow anything to my private network. So this perimeter checking, what it will do is it will try to send some packets from 192.168.0.0. If the firewall is blocking that packet, then perimeter will check, say okay. Okay, the okay firewall is working fine. But ultimately what will happen is this 192.168.0.0 may be a good server, but 192.168.0.1 may be a bad attacker. Okay, so we have configured the firewall only for this, it is working fine. So the perimeter checking only will understand whether the particular system is working according to the configuration. Okay, so that is the first problem which can be bypassed by the perimeter checking. And similarly, if you are connecting your modems, if you are having an analog modem, and if you are connecting your modem directly from the internet to the private network, you cannot perform any perimeter checking. Okay, and there are so many hosts internal to the organization which is connected directly to the host present outside the organization. Under the case also you cannot perform perimeter checking. So it is not that always perimeter checking is okay. So we are safe. Okay, we are safe in the outside world. It need not be. Okay, so that is the first thing in perimeter auditing. Please understand, you are not going into the private network. You are not exactly understanding what is the internet, how the internet works. Instead, you are understanding the area or just outside the perimeter of your organization, how the network is connected to the external environment, whether it is all working fine with the configurations or not. That is only you are performing. That is perimeter auditing. Next is web application auditing. As the name implies, application on the website. So this is the place where you will be having the large number of attacks. Okay, in web pages only you will be having a large number of attacks. Say for example, last week we have done SQL injection attack. SQL injection attacks is ultimately a database. We are hacking the database by writing a SQL query. Okay, how you are doing that? You are just doing that in the entry. Yeah, there is a web page. DBWA is a web page. It's a vulnerable web page. Okay, so you are able to write a script. You are able to write some query in that web page, and you are able to try to drag the database. Okay, so some application is getting spoiled. So web application auditing is like that. Okay, so you are having so many attacks: cross-site scripting attack, SQL injection attack, cookies attack, backdoor injection attack, buffer overflow attack. There are so many attacks coming in the web through web only. Okay, so this web application auditing is the largest portion of auditing when compared to any auditing, any other auditing. Okay, so when when you have to do this web application, you have to complete this web application whenever you are creating a new application. Okay, when you have to perform this auditing, whenever a new application is created, the organization is creating a new application and they have to deploy it in the website, then they have to perform this auditing. Okay, and whenever you are purchasing a new application from some other party, then also you have to perform this auditing. And whenever you are having some updation, patching, released, then and there, then also you have to perform this auditing. So you have to perform this web application auditing at so many stages. So when anything you are related to website, you have to perform this auditing. Okay, that is web application auditing. So I will stop with this for today's class. See, I want to give you one announcement. Next Tuesday we are having a guest lecture. Okay, next Tuesday we are having a guest lecture. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello,
yes, ma'am.
Next Tuesday, we are having a guest lecture. That guest lecture, as I have told you, I am going to give some work related to the guest lecture. That is considered for assignment as 5 marks. Okay, so what you do is, before coming for guest lecture, attendance is a must. Those who are attending the guest lecture alone will get 5 marks, 5 out of 5. Otherwise, you are not getting. So what you are going to do is you come with pen and paper and everything for the guest lecture. Understand the guest lecture and write down whatever you understood. On the same day, I'm creating a link in Moodle. You upload that in the within 10 minutes. You upload that in the Moodle link. Okay, that will give you 5 marks. Okay, that is
Okay,
for
ma'am.
the guest lecture. Okay, so if you are having any other doubts, you ask me. Otherwise, you can leave. It's already time. And I want to tell you one thing. Yesterday, so many have asked this question related to the assignment number 1. Assignment number 1, which are all the, there is one question, which is not a threat among the following. There are 4 different things I have given you, which is not a threat among the following. 4 things I have given you. One is disaster, I remember. Another one is eavesdropping. What is third one is unchanged password. What is another one? I forget actually. Unchanged password. 1 minute. I got this question from so many people. So I thought I will tell this in the class also.
Information leakage, ma'am.
Information leakage. Very good. Thank you. So there are four things I have given you. Which among them is not a threat? Okay, it's not a threat is a question. So if I say none of the above, you should have ticked none of the above. Okay, but there is a 4 options. So unchanged. So first step is disaster or information.